that Big HVAC Show, the podcast for property managers, building owners, and building maintenance personnel, getting you the information to benefit your goals, while keeping it simple in a big way. This is that Big HVAC Show. Now, your Big HVAC host, Dwayne Anderson.
90% of Canadians spend their time indoors, and we're well aware we've just been going through, or are still, depending who you talk to, part of a global pandemic, and that has raised an awareness or a consciousness about indoor air quality more than ever before. My guest today has spent the last 2 years in that field, and we have some very interesting things to share today. So, Excel Chua, welcome to that Big HVAC Show.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon or good evening to everyone.
There's a 9-hour difference between us, so I really appreciate you joining us today.
Very welcome.
So, as people can see, if you're joining us on video, on her background, she has the product. It's called uHoo. For those of you who are listening, it's spelled uHoo, uHoo. And Excel, if you can tell us a little bit, what is the uHoo Aurora?
Okay, sure. So uHoo is a device. We help you monitor the indoor air quality that you breathe in, so you can do something about it. So we produce our own hardware devices. We produce them in Taiwan, and we build our own software from scratch. So we have our mobile app where you can access your indoor air quality data, as well as our web dashboard where you can analyze the metrics of your environment. So uHoo Aura has got at least 13 parameters that we measure, from temperature, humidity, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, 4 different types of fine dust particles like PM1, 2.5, 4, 10 is light and sound as well. Okay,
so the uHoo Aurora is basically a device. It's a wall-mounted device, or it's. Let me describe that. It is a device. It is about 7 inches by 6 inches and 1.5 inches deep. You can mount it on your wall. You can put it on your desk. You can put it on a shelf. And this device monitors those 13 to 15 different things in that. So how big of a space does it monitor those things in? Is there so many square feet? Or?
So we recommend our clients to have one of those boxes for every 500 square feet to 800 square feet of open floor spaces. But that would also depend on, if there is, like, let's say, a lot of walls in that area, or let's say there are also plenty of rooms. Let's say on a 10,000 square feet of open floor space, you have also 10 big rooms that that there's probably high risk of the virus, and perhaps there's high risk of people converging around there. So perhaps you want to monitor meeting rooms that would have at least an occupancy of 5 people and above. At the end of the day, it also depends on one's objectives and also budget.
Okay, yes, budget's usually one of those the ultimate concern. But you mentioned virus there, and let's just explore that. I mean, the coronavirus, it came on the world here about 2.5, 3 years ago now. Does the uHoo have the ability to identify the coronavirus or any virus?
Yeah, one of the unique features of uHoo that we have patented is called the uHoo Virus Index. just want to clarify that we don't detect COVID-19, but what it does is that it's an index. So we give you a score if, let's say, there's a high chance or low chance for COVID-19 to survive in the air and be transmitted in the air using a certain 5 environmental conditions. And these are temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide, PM1, and PM2.5. Basically, there's a certain optimum range for these 5 parameters, and if they go above or below those threshold, then this virus index will give you a score. So it's a scale of 1 to 10. And then you will see that across our user interface, which is our mobile app or dashboard. So you will see if it's green, in the green zone, which is healthy, or if it's in the orange or red zone, which is an unhealthy zone. And then we give you suggestions like perhaps you need to open up your windows to bring in fresh air from outside, turn on your air purifier. For example, if we detect a high dust level. And of course, if we're talking about automation, then a company can always use our data and then link it to their, let's say, building management systems or an external control system to automate the solutions if you don't do it manually. Using our API, you can pull our raw data and then link it to the commercial property owner's BMS. If not BMS, it can be any dashboard, for example. So all that can be done through an API.
Okay.
And for the purpose of probably your viewers who don't know what an API is, but basically these are raw data, and just give it to a programmer or someone who's a systems integrator, they'll know what to do with it. So we'll give you a link, they'll know what to do with it. So what they do is that they'll write a program, and then to say, for example, if your carbon dioxide exceeds the threshold of 800 parts per million, then that a programmer can write and say, pump in more ventilation into the building, or similar. Or let's say if the dust level is not so good, then your BMS or whatever automation systems that you're using can automatically trigger on your air purification systems to turn on to clean the air.
Okay. So this raises a few questions for me. You mentioned you can go to a phone, a handheld device. I'm assuming that would include an iPad or a tablet of some type. So there is, would those things give alarms if it went to the orange or the red, or is it something you have to look at and see that it actually has done that?
Yeah, I'd like to share some screen so I can visualize it for the people who's watching this. Okay, so first I'll share with you. Do you mind giving me some permission, please? So I share with you my mobile app.
Okay, let me go share screen. There we go. You should be able to share it now.
Okay, thank you. So I'll first share with you my mobile phone screen. So with uHoo, we have 2 mobile apps. One is the white and green logo, which is the consumer app. That's for the tabletop version. And I have here the black and green logo, which is the uHoo business app. So that's the app that you will be needing if you're using uHoo Aura. So this is also the app that you use when you need to set up the device. So here's a summary of all the devices that I've got. So I have a device, for example, in here, different areas of the building, and I can show you, for example, for the collab, there's a summary here that needs my attention. So basically, we advise our users to look at the orange and red colors because these are normally the unhealthy zone. So right now my temperature for collab is 27.5 centigrade, humidity 74.1%. So it exceeds the threshold, as well as my light level is 35. My virus index is 4 out of 10. So it's also not in the good range. So if you click that, it shows you your, your data from all these 13 parameters, right? And so virus index, so if you click that 4 out of 10, it tells you, okay, your virus survival is moderate and the airborne virus spread is possible, but air quality poses little or almost no direct health risk for people who are usually not sensitive to air pollution. So we're detecting that your temperature is outside of the optimum range, which is 19 to 24. Right now it's at 27.5. Your humidity is also outside of the optimum range. So here's our suggestions. Adjust your thermostats or aircon or fan to bring the temperature back to the optimum range. Turn on the humidifier and set a target to 50%. Turn on your aircon or fan to lower the humidity. And then here we explain what's a uHoo virus index. We patented a uHoo virus index globally as well. If you guys are interested, you can always download our 18-page white paper report on this. We've got people from R&D who are in the medical professional field who's written a report. Basically, our sources would be WHO, OSHA, CDC, and other medical journals.
Okay.
And so these are the 5 parameters that I talked about. And yeah, so here you can see the data by the day, by the hour, and as well as by the minute. So uHoo Aura, we connect to the uHoo cloud every minute. So we'll be able to detect your air quality in your premises every minute, literally. So there's also a monthly view of the data. So where we give you the lowest 1 hour average, as well as the daily average. This is the mobile view. Of course, if you need to extrapolate the data into a lot of details, you can always go to our dashboard view, which is a lot more, it's because if you really need to analyze all these data, it's better to be on a computer. So if you're on a computer in a big screen, you'll see a lot of more information. Yeah, so that's pretty much what it looks like from someone who's probably on the go, a facilities management person who's always on the go, not having time to go on a computer. At least from one glance, you'll be able to see, okay, I need to do something about my level 42. The CO2 level here is not so good.
So this answers a couple of other my questions. So obviously they run 24/7, 365, the uHoos, correct? By looking at some of the graphs you've shared.
That's correct.
So I guess where this is different than having an indoor air quality test, when somebody does an indoor air quality test, it's for that moment in time, where this is essentially a 24-hour indoor air quality test ongoing. Yeah, which I think makes it a fantastic tool for anybody who's interested in indoor air quality. The other thing is you were kind of scrolling through there, I noticed there's multiple facilities, so you can access, or multiple uHoos, you can access them all from one device.
That's correct, yes. So you can have a look at all the devices that you've got, and this app can have a capacity to have 100,000 sensors. Not that I'm saying you need 100,000 sensors, but that's the capacity of our business app.
Wow, that's very powerful. So places like, well, an airport, for example, they may not have 100,000, but I know the uHoo Aurora's in an airport. Do you know how many devices are there off the top of your head? But
So for the airport, it depends on which airport you're referring to. So a client, for example, we have would be Schiphol, Amsterdam Airport. We've got Changi Airport in Singapore. In Singapore, for example, they would use it in certain rooms like meeting rooms, cafeteria, prayer room, even smoking room, or people where there's where there's areas where there's a high risk of people gathering.
Okay. Now you mentioned smoking, and it just triggered something for me. Out here in the part of Canada that I live, we refer to our summers as the fire season because there seems to be a lot of forest fires that happen. So obviously those particulates all get in the air. Does the uHoo Aurora with that sense pick up anything from that?
Yes, definitely. So of course, if we did smoke, probably will detect the CO2, isn't it? Carbon dioxide, and if it's the dust level, we have the PM1, PM2.5, PM4, and PM10. There is an information icon here. So for, of course, not everybody is probably aware what a carbon dioxide means. So from a layman's perspective, they can always go through this and have a look at what is the exact technical definition of carbon dioxide. What, for example, a proper ventilation is most effective method to reduce CO2 level. These are the good range for the carbon dioxide level, 400 to 800, 800 to 1,500, not so good. That's why it's in the orange zone. So what happens is this range may start to trigger episodes of fatigue, nausea, and headache for some due to the due to the stale air. They can experience diminished cognitive function and reduced energy levels. If it reaches the red zone, which is 1,500 parts per million and above, at these levels, the air starts to become visibly stuffy and a number of sensory problems develop, including nausea, fatigue, and drowsiness. Occupants may also experience headaches and increased heart rate. So PM 2.5 is, or PM, the particles are over here.
Okay.
We tell you what's a good range and what's the not so good range, as well as our source. So the source is at the bottom, WHO and EPA. Okay. So these are threshold that we have on the device, and should the client need to adjust the threshold as well, there's capability for you to also adjust that on the app and also on the dashboard. So let's say maybe, sorry, I can't adjust this particular one because I don't own that device.
Okay.
Let me see, yeah. So, but just to give you an example and some functionality, like for example, I want to be able to, I can't adjust the threshold here. You will be able to, adjust the threshold through here. So let's say maybe the CO2 level, you would like to adjust that to maybe a lower, a higher threshold. So you can do that. Just make an adjustment on what is green for you, what is orange and red zone, and then click save. And once you start saving, this app will also start pushing an alert for you to say, hey, your dust level or CO2 level have exceeded the threshold. So okay, you can do something about it.
Good. That's nice that it does that push notification for you. So you were mentioning just with the different the devices. So again, if a property manager or a building owner had a number of uHoos in one building and a bunch of different uHoos in another building, it all can come to the same dashboard, or do they have multiple dashboards for each facility?
Right. Yeah, so let me just share with you how the dashboard looks like. So a property manager, for example, with they're monitoring a building or a big floor, for example, it's we advise them to look at it probably on a computer because there's some more features and functions on the dashboard. So here I'm going to show you an account that's got 9 devices. And it's showing you that out of these 9 devices, 3 are currently offline. And so again, we advise clients to look at orange and red colors because these are the problematic zone. Good, you can just ignore because they're good. So if you put your cursor here, for example, I can quickly see, okay, lobby level 9, I have a problem. My humidity is not so good. My virus index there is 4. So these are my data for temperature. This is my data for humidity. My humidity are not very good. My CO2 level, my dust level, all the way up to light and sound. There is, let's say you want to look at every floor, what's your air quality like here? Let's say you have 60 floors, you'll be able to see different colors here. Gray means there's no uHoo sensors that have been deployed in these floors. There's a color here that means, yes, this floor is not looking very good when it comes to their humidity. And if the property manager wants to zoom in further, you can click this little icon there, which is a floor plan. On the floor plan, let's say this is an example of a floor plan. Of course, let's say in a 10,000 square feet of open floor space, I have deployed uHoo sensors, and I'd like to quickly see where exactly are the problematic areas. So, okay, so I have an orange sensors in the finance manager as well as in the meeting room. The virus index there is not looking very good. And if you click this drop down arrow, I see, okay, temperature, not too bad. They're all green. My carbon dioxide, I have a problem in the meeting room. Perhaps there are people in there. So we may need to, maybe open the window there, or maybe the door, or probably pump in more ventilation. The gray circles that you see here, that means there's uHoo sensors. However, they're currently switched off or offline. That's why it's colored gray. And let's say I want to understand the trend of my air quality for this particular floor. I can click this play button and choose to play the trend by the minute or by the hour. Here, it will show you the trend of your CO2 for that particular floor, and you can see those numbers changing by the hour.
Okay. Yeah. That does gather a lot of data.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Far more in depth than a one-time indoor air quality test for sure.
Definitely.
So,
yeah, so
obviously we've been talking about commercial buildings, but I mean, this has applications. Well, we mentioned airports earlier, schools, seniors housing. I think particularly, I was talking to one fellow, and it's not just the residents that live there; it's the nurses that live there as well that want to know, what their indoor air quality is like. So obviously, with this desktop too, you can even put a TV screen somewhere in a lobby or somewhere where people can actually see what the readout is. Correct?
Exactly. Yeah, we do have that feature. We call it the display view.
Okay.
So this display view, and some of our users, what they do is they print out this QR code on a sticker, place it on their window to say, okay, if you're interested to know your air quality, just scan that QR code on your mobile phone and you'll see your air quality.
Oh.
If you click this link, some customers, they would have this view on a big screen at the lobby, for example, to educate their building occupants or tenants or employees that their building is a safe place or not safe place to be in. Of course, it works like a double-edged sword. Not so good, then it also may cause some problems. But these are something that is customizable as well. So if you don't want to show all these parameters, there's a way for you to select let's say I only want to show my virus index. I want to show temperature, humidity, CO2, TVOC only, and then click that. It will refresh and show you only those 5 items. And this is an open link, which means anybody who doesn't have a uHoo account, they can just click, you copy and paste that and then share it with your tenant or employees. It's an open link and it's live 24/7. So right now it's 7:34 a.m. for me in Singapore. As you can see, this is reading the data as of 7:32 a.m. today. So that will refresh every minute.
Fantastic. Such a fantastic tool. And I mean, you're responsible, you're global sales director for uHoo, and I mean, so you've done, there's, well, they're globally, but mostly all over the world. So in North America, where would somebody get a uHoo Aurora?
There are some distributors in the US for uHoo Aura as well. So if they're interested in the commercial grade model, which is the uHoo Aura, then there are some distributors that we can refer you to. Of course, in Canada, we have Gateway.
Oh, I've heard of those guys. Okay. So you can get these from Gateway Mechanical.
Definitely, you can get it from them.
Now, this comes with an annual subscription as well. So can you tell me what's involved in that?
Sure. So when a client purchased the commercial grade model, which is Aura, how it works is that it comes with a hardware and a software fee together. It's a bundled up. So you own the hardware, and then it comes with a 3-year software license. And the software license gives you an access to this dashboard, a mobile app where I showed you earlier, as well as an access to the API. So here is an example of an API. So we spoke about how you can automate the solutions. So this is something that your team can also pick up the raw data and then link it up to an external dashboard. So all these 3 items is included in the software license. And also, as you know, our devices are plug and play, which means it's like buying an iPhone, where you buy an iPhone and then you need an iCloud to make it work, to update the firmware, make sure that it's working fine. It's the same for Aura. So for Aura, it's a plug and play. So all you need is just a power outlet. And if you're on a SIM card model, you just need to purchase an LTM SIM card, insert it there. And once it's connected to the cellular network, then what one needs to do is just log into the computer or access your mobile app, and you can see your data quickly. And so other features would be the firmware update. So we talk about, let's say, maybe questions like calibration. Do you need to calibrate it physically? You don't need to, because uHoo would have this AI algorithm in which we automatically calibrate our devices remotely via the cloud every 7 days. So there's no you're not required to calibrate a device, because it's all being done automatically. And we have a firmware update that's being done very regularly, similar to your iPhone, where we update the firmware of our device, our Aura device, in order to fix any issues or bugs, and also improve the features of the device.
It really is an amazing device, all that it does. Truly outstanding. So I guess I just want to thank you for joining us here today on That Big HVAC Show. And if they want to follow uHoo. There's on Instagram and Twitter, it's at getuHoo. Website is same thing, getuHoo.com, I believe.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, getuHoo.com.
Right. Well, thanks again so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time, Excel.
Thank you for having me, Dwayne.
Thanks.
Thank you.
If you have any questions about this topic, please send an email to thatbighvacshow@gmail.com. You can connect with the show on social media too. Search @thatbighvacshow on Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube.
Thank you for choosing to spend your time with me. Please subscribe, write a review, or share this episode with a friend. Lastly, please keep in mind that this is your podcast. If there is anything in that big HVAC world you want to learn more about, please let me know. I look forward to your input. Until next month, dream big, work smart, and be safe.
So if I was to ask you the one more thing, you've done a lot of traveling. What's your favorite destination?
Favorite destination would be United States.
Okay. Anywhere particular?
And the last one that I went to was in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
There. Of course, it's not a place that one can probably retire unless you have really enough.
Yeah.
Probably enough in your life to retire in Hawaii.
And I have friends that just came back from vacation and said it's even gotten more expensive than it used to be. So.
Yeah. So yeah. I love Hawaii.